The Crusher Impala's been to the drag strip a dozen times. Has it ever run in the 10s? No! Have we tried really hard? Yes! Will it do it on this episode?
You bet!
I hope so. Ah, yeah, it's another Crusher Impala episode. You remember the last time this car was on Roadkill Garage, we took it to the drag strip and we had a huge problem. It wouldn't shift no matter what. I think it ran in the 1120s anyway.
Yeah, it did.
So Steve and I are out troubleshooting the thing because, man, it's another episode where we gotta get this thing into the 10s. How come I have so many cars that have to run in the 10s even though they're not really drag racing cars?
You're David Freiburger, baby.
I guess so.
I mean, you're at 1120s without being able to shift, so you're pretty close.
Remember it did that and we looked at the video and timed it and it was on the rev limiter for like almost 2 seconds?
I know.
For some reason, this thing worked perfectly up till now, and now I can't get the thing to shift right.
It was on the rev limiter for a long time, more than 2/10.
Yeah.
I can give you that.
So the shifter is a problem, but look at that, it downshifts into every gear.
Yeah, but you're not on the stick.
I know, I don't understand why it shifts. Even doing a burnout, it'll shift. First, second, shifts hard. How am I gonna test this without killing everybody in a quarter-mile square radius?
I'm more concerned about this like 4 or 5 square foot radius right here.
I know. I'm gonna try not to spin the tires. That was wide open throttle and it didn't shift till I lifted.
Yep.
So it won't do it at wide open. Confirmed.
Confirmed.
I know I want to finally put a good shifter in it. This is not gonna cut it. You know what else I want to do on this episode if we can?
What? Oh. It's horrible having power steering without power steering.
The worst. Ready for rolling burnout?
Sure. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It bogs though, I need more squirter. You know what? By the time we're done with this episode, this car is going to be flawless.
Oh, I agree.
This is the 1969 Chevy Impala known as the Crusher Impala, and blasting it around just now reminded me of exactly how much I love this car, which is kind of surprising considering I used to hate it. I bought this thing for, I can't remember, $1,500 or $1,800 way back when we were doing a Roadkill episode with the guys from Mighty Car Mods. And what I wanted to do was impress these Australian guys with the most ridiculous engine in the largest barge I could find. Over the years on both Roadkill and Roadkill Garage, we've just slowly progressed this thing and it's gotten better and better. It does the most awesome burnouts. It blasts the highway, no problem. You can drive it 75 miles an hour all day. And you can take it to the drag strip, and therein lies the problem. The big block Chevy has been rebuilt. Me and Steve did it on an episode of Roadkill Garage. It's 498 cubic inches. It has a tiny camshaft, tiny Brodick cylinder heads, mid-length headers. It is not built for giant power. What I'm planning on doing here is primarily fix the transmission that won't shift. You just saw that. And the worst thing about this car is that the power steering has been dead forever. But number one priority is make it shift and get it back to the drag strip. We're gonna jack it up and look at the little pressure modulator doohickey on the side of the transmission and maybe even go so far as to drop the pan and get ATF all over the floor. And then we're gonna discover that we don't know how to deal with the automatic transmission, test drive it, it'll still fail, and then we're gonna change the transmission.
Ready for it to come down?
Yep.
Now here's a little tech tip for you guys. You may think that jacking only the front is going to make it intrusively low in the back. But because of controlled jack stand placement, you'll notice that the car will actually teeter-totter, and it'll lift the back end as the front end comes down. Pay attention and don't miss it. Here goes.
Whoa, what was that?
That was the teeter-totter action.
Wow, something made a loud cracking sound.
Oh, that might be the jack stand failing.
Neither Steve nor I have any idea how to actually fix a Turbo 400 automatic transmission, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway by throwing parts at it. What I'm working on here is the vacuum modulator, and the job of this thing is to regulate line pressure in proportion to engine vacuum. So at part throttle, at higher vacuum, it would have lower line pressure, and that would act on the governor to make it shift sooner. This is not shifting at wide open throttle at all, and what I don't know is if perhaps boost from the blower has blown out the diaphragm in this, and if it did do that, I have no idea what it would affect on the transmission. Here's my old vacuum modulator right there, and here's the new one. You can see that they are identical, except for that the new one has an adjustable doohickey inside the vacuum port, so you can make it shift sooner or later. I'm gonna leave it at the factory setting for now. I got the new modulator in, and now we're just gonna drain the fluid and see if it's more burned than I think it is, or if there's any chunks in it or anything like that. This is where I'm gonna get ATF all over my hand, right? No! Oh, the filter's just about to fall off.
Really?
Yep. Wow. That's super bad. It can't be. Okay, this is weird. That bolt is fully ramrodded, and it's still loose. There's no way that's supposed to be loose, is there?
What I want to do here is cut open the transmission filter so I can pull out the filter media and inspect it for debris. It kind of gives us an idea of how much wear and tear there is on the transmission or if there's any component failure. I caution you to use extreme care because the edges are very sharp. Not a damaging amount of debris. This filter element has been doing its job, but then the corrugations of metal in the filter body had a massive amount of debris. That would have circulated through the transmission before it ended up in the pan and sucked back in. Whether or not that's problematic, we're gonna see when we test drive the car.
Man, I just Googled Turbo 400 filters, and it turns out that looseness that I was seeing is normal. I should know that, but I didn't. Turns out everybody asks that question. You can bolt it up solid, but I just lost my spacer for that. It's weird because the bolt that comes with it has a stop on it that leaves it kind of loose. Really strange to me. Obviously, this is my first Turbo 400. And next, I'm gonna see if I can get the governor out here. It might hit the floor. There we go. That is the governor. It's got weights. And as it spins, those fly out from centrifugal force and adjust shift RPM at wide open throttle. There's also a valve inside it that needs to move freely. And I'm gonna go get a tiny screwdriver so I can check that out. There is a valve inside this that needs to freely move up and down. And you can see right there, sort of that valve. Now watch, I hold the weights in and tap it. Now you can see that that valve has moved. This gap is up here at the top. But watch what happens when I let go of the weights. Shoop, it moves up. So that thing's moving all freely and perfectly. I guess I'm just gonna reinstall it and cross my fingers. I haven't found anything wrong with the transmission so far. I'm gonna button this up, we'll put fluid in it, and we're gonna go test drive it again to see if maybe new fluid Different filter, different modulator. See if one of those things fixes the problem. Not a speck of metal out of the engine.
Great. Well, you know who built it.
Us.
Yeah.
Well, we changed the modulator, changed the filter, changed the fluid. Check the governor. What are the odds it's fixed?
100%. How's it feel so far?
I feel great in the Crusher Impala.
I know you do. You love this thing. The only thing that would make it better for you is if you had a nice stogie.
Actually, it needs a cup holder. Oh, I'm gonna make a cup holder off the shifter stand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the rigor for Freiburger. That's the way you do it.
Yep. Wow, look at all that oil pressure with the new oil.
Zowie, that's a lot of oil pressure.
Yeah.
This car makes good rubber smoke.
It really does.
Yeah.
All right, how are we gonna find out if this works?
We have to roll into wide open throttle and first gear manual and then shift it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Or leave it in drive.
Yeah, I just want to roll in as easy as I can, you know?
Yeah.
Fix! Boom!
That's a bro shake.
Boom! Boom!
I knew
Wow.
I knew it'd be fixed. Actually shifted pretty sharp too, didn't it?
Yeah. How did you know it would be fixed?
Ah, you know, sometimes you just have a sixth sense about transmission repair.
I had no expectation of that working.
I told you 100%, remember?
Really?
That was pretty slick. I liked it.
That worked great. I got to do it again, though, just to make 100% sure.
Oh, I know.
I did short shift it.
That's because you thought it would lay on the rev limiter, that's why.
Yeah, well, and I didn't want to kill us.
Yeah.
We're going to take the time we saved changing the transmission and fix the power steering. Works fine.
Never been better.
That was great.
As long as I've ever been in this car, the shift quality's never been better than
I
that.
think you're right. How come?
That modulator.
Works perfectly. It shifts now.
Yeah.
It's fixed.
100%.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
We don't have to change the trans.
I know.
I do want to put the shifter in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down the drag strip with a column shift again. Wow, look at the vitals. This thing is just great. This might be my best car.
I think it probably is.
Is this better than General Mayhem? It does better burnouts. Faster. Transmission won't shift. Ready?
Fixed.
Bye-bye. I can't honestly tell you what fixed the transmission.
I can.
What?
The things we did.
Sure.
Okay.
That's what happened. We touched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Fonzie. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
fixed. What do we have to do now? Shifter, power steering box, alternator bracket maybe, and an AFR gauge. So shifter, I think, is our plan for right now.
That's probably the biggest fabrication job we have.
Yeah. This is a really sad moment for me because the column shifter on the Crusher Impala is about to go away. I love the column shifter for the sleeper aspect of it, for the luxury barge aspect, but unfortunately it's just gotten too dangerous on the drag strip and doing burnouts and stuff like that. So we're gonna install the Hurst quarter stick. Watch this, that's first gear, second, third, neutral, reverse, park. You can see that the deal with this is that you can't accidentally shift to the next gear. And that's what makes it good. It's a cable type shifter. And the way these always work is the cable comes out of the front of that thing, and I am going to have to route it through the floor, back to the back, and then around to the transmission. So it goes on basically like that. It's always a little bit of a struggle. The other thing that we're gonna have to do with this shifter is make it clear the bench seat. If I just bolt this to the floor, it's gonna be too much of a reach for it. So we're gonna make a little platform for it and bolt it to the floor and weld it all together so that it holds the shifter where we want it. The first thing I'm gonna do is go underneath and start bolting together the stuff that goes on the oil pan rail to hold the shift cable. I already found a problem with the shifter installation. This is the new arm that goes on the stud that comes out of the side of the transmission, and it needs to pivot like this in order to shift, but the cast aluminum transpan hits it. So I'm gonna have to clearance it. Hopefully I can get this angle grinder up there. Fixed.
One of the things that we have the opportunity to do is incorporate cup holders in our shifter mount, because back then, cars did not come with any cup holders. What I'm gonna do is size one of these 1-inch drive sockets that'll give me the perfect diameter, and then I'm gonna make hoops out of this 1/8 by 1/4 inch flat bar. That's the perfect size right there. And I'll just use this 1-inch socket, vice grip this on there, and then wrap it around, and I'll make a ring.
While Steve's working on the cup holders, I am starting the shifter platform. So we're gonna have a plate just like this, and then a couple of rods extending down to another plate on the floor to raise the shifter about that much. I got this marked, I'm gonna go cut it. Here's my plan. I've got the plate on the bottom of the shifter. The shifter is gonna be offset towards the driver's side so that it's easier for me to reach, and Steve's cup holders will both end up on the passenger side. I took some 1/8 inch plate and cut it and bashed it on the anvil to perfectly contour it to the shape of the tunnel of the Impala. I've got 2 of them that'll go right there, and I will have some 3/4 inch tube that will stand the shifter off from the floor. So my next step here is to make those pieces of tube, to contour them to the shape of those plates, and to weld it all together. Ooh, just above the floor. Oh, did you hear it sizzling? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Can you still shift with this installed?
Well, of course not.
Yes, you can.
You can?
Yep,
Oh, great.
all the way. This is pretty amazing. See our shifter stand? It's all in there perfect. And look at the cup holders. Now, here's the most amazing part. You know when you have to drill holes through carpet, whether you're putting in seats or seat belts or a shifter or anything like that, and you touch the carpet with the drill bit, and the carpet just unravels and wraps all the way around your drill bit? Well, check this out. The Unibit doesn't do that. Look at that, all the way. No fraying, no nightmare. By the way, I did check underneath the car first to make sure we weren't going through anything critical, but yeah, that did it. What I'm gonna do is bolt down these 2 vertical bolts and then come back and drill the holes for the side bolts. That is rigid. Yes. It's all bolted in with cup holders. Here's first gear, second, third, neutral, reverse, park. That's a bam. Sorry to see you go. Uh-oh. Why won't this move now? There we go. What's gonna happen now is I'm gonna mount this part of the cable in a bracket that's already bolted to the transmission. This little doohickey right here goes through the arm that actually shifts the trans. And it's threaded so I can go in and out and adjust it so that the shifter gets every gear in the detent perfectly. Okay, will you put it in reverse? All right, now go all the way back to first again. I've got it. There we go, found the right cotter pin. I'm bending it over, and the shifter installation and adjustment is done. Believe it or not, we're finally gonna fix the power steering on the Impala. If you've seen the past few episodes with this car, you know that the power steering box that we have leaks horribly and is super notchy, and we've been driving it anyway, and it is awful to drive. There's nothing worse than a power steering box with no fluid being pumped through it that you're driving with manual steering. And we have to be able to throw this car around and do donuts. So finally, the new box. Here's the thing I always fear about these. This is a Saginaw box that was used in a jillion vehicles over the years, all the way up into the metric years, and that's your key to failure. These 2 fittings right here are so often metric from rebuilder shops. And so what I'm gonna do as step 1 is take the hoses off of the car and check these plugs in that box to see if it's a match. Also, when you've got a box, I would always recommend, before you take it apart, trying to count the splines that are here on the input side. That's hard to do, impossible with the column on, but usually you can look at the underside and count the splines sticking out of the bottom of the pitman arm. So those 3 things need to be verified before we bolt this in. All right, this is gonna be a fight of some kind, I'm sure. Oh, got it. What's weird here is that I'm using a metric wrench to take this apart. And if this is metric, it means this box has been changed at one point, which would be really strange. There's the return line. Now, I believe this one is bigger. Yep. Oh, that hurt. I knew that was coming. Steve test fit those plugs, and it looks like we're good to go. He's about to take off the giant nut that holds on the pitman arm, then he's got a puller that has to pull it off. Wow, that was easy.
Came right off. It's always good to have the right tool. What I'm using here is a dedicated pitman arm puller. It's a heavy-duty pulling arrangement with the screw, and most of the time, this tool by itself will remove the pitman arm, but sometimes it's stuck so hard that you can impact it with an impact wrench, which you probably shouldn't do. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to use an impact. Sometimes you actually have to get your oxyacetylene torch out, and while it's under tension, heat up the actual spline area of the pitman, and that will get it off every single time. Wish me luck. I don't want to have to use the torch, but if I have to, I'll fix it with fire. Like butter. Look at that, off.
We have faced the reality that we were denying at a very high level, which is that the header needs to come off in order to get the steering box out of the car. We don't like it. Steve's removing the collector right now, and I am taking the header off very poorly. Header out. Man, that's great. This thing needs more bashing. I can see a silver witness mark right here where the steering box was hitting it. Ugh. I took the header completely out of the car, and so we're gonna make clearance. Heat it up, and I'm gonna bash it with a hammer.
I can do my part.
Yeah. You know it's bad when you have your eyes closed and you can see the header anyway. Ready? Oh, like butter. That was some clearance. I'm not even having to bash. This is the way to go.
What I'm using here is the rosebud tip. It has multiple flame points, so it really heats up fast.
Ah, mint. Look at that. On a very early episode of Engine Masters with me and Dulcich and Steve Brule, we very famously did a header bash test where we dented a whole bunch of tubes and proved that it really didn't matter to horsepower. So that's what we're doing here. Look, it's just that easy tap. Nice body work in that thing right there. I feel pretty good.
On a very early episode of Roadkill, I bashed the set of your headers and I upset Freiburger on that one.
That's how you became a Roadkill star. This is your first episode. Finnegan and I came here and we were putting a 440 into the crop duster when the crop duster was still junk. And Finnegan and Dulcich just completely bashed my brand new $1,000 TTI headers right here.
Destroying your headers really pays off, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I should do it more often.
There you go. Yep, you made it.
Not quite. Stopped right there, as far as I can go.
Yeah, it's hitting the header.
It's pretty heavy. I'll pull that up there.
Okay, try now. Try now, I've got it way out of the way. Okay, there you go. You're in. All right, I'm gonna go move to bolt position, okay?
Yeah.
Just to hold it for you.
Yeah.
That's not going in, is it?
No?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Whoa! You okay?
Yeah, luckily.
Well, you're just all over the header. You're in the collector. Now the header will never go on. Hold on. Okay, there. That's in.
Okay, now put the screwdriver in. That's good.
There's a real struggle to get the power steering box in place. Now we can't get the header back on, of course. So I'm taking out this side of the motor mount bracket and we're gonna jack the engine up on this side to get the header in. Okay, with the engine jacked up, should slip right in, and it doesn't. Now, all right, your turn. There we go.
Now,
that's gonna be
lower
it.
the engine.
Yeah, here it comes down as slow as I can.
Stop there, put a bolt in it.
Box is in, header's in. Now I'm gonna drop the engine and hope the motor mount lines back up. Should go. Yep. Is the header touching anywhere?
Done now.
No. Okay, we did that.
To put the power steering belt on, we have to take off the blower belt, which captures it. But that's a fortunate thing because we're also gonna change the upper pulley, speed the blower up a little bit, get a little bit more boost, and hopefully a little bit better track performance. So, gonna knock the bolts off of that, pull that pulley off, and then change the belt to the one that works with the new smaller blower pulley, and my job here is done.
Steve, my dear man.
Mr. Freiburger.
It is a tale of two pulleys, one of which I would argue is substandard. The other has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi? Yes, and I would presumably wager that it is this pulley with the je ne sais quoi.
Emmy, here we come. All right, I have a 57 pulley.
5 and a 7.
Yeah, and we took off a 58, so that's only a
That's
one.
only 1 tooth. That's not very. That's not much of a difference.
Whereas this 52, I think, puts us at 1 to 1. This one is smaller than the crank pulley, so this will be overdriven by a tiny, tiny percent. This is probably like 1% over or something like that. I went soft. I installed the not full party pulley. That thing right now changed us from 7.6% underdrive to 5.5% underdrive, so it'll give us a tiny speck more boost, but hopefully not enough to break my cast crank. Now I'm gonna fire it up, bleed my power steering, and then I'll move on to that air-fuel ratio gauge. I'm nearing the end of the fiddling. It's gadget time. This is an Innovate air-fuel ratio gauge that will also tell me blower boost. It's super good. Unfortunately, a rat ate the wiring on my old one and shorted a couple of wires, and it doesn't work anymore. So I'm just gonna be unplugging the old one and plugging in the new one. Should be super simple, but then I'll show you how it works. The gauge is all installed, wired up, and it lights up, so I assume that it works. The next thing that I'm gonna do is change my oxygen sensor. This is the thing that goes into the exhaust pipe and compares basically the fumes in there to the fumes out here, and the gauge calculates it from a measurement called lambda and tells you the air-fuel ratio. If you have an O2 sensor installed in a pipe and drive it around without having it be heated by the electrical system, then it fails, and so my old one is junk. Now I'm going to install the wiring and plug this into the exhaust system, and I'll be done. If you're welding a bung into your exhaust pipe for one of these, you want to put it in the top of the pipe or maybe at a 45-degree angle. You don't want it on the underside of the pipe because condensation will run into the sensor and kill it. It's a pretty lame zip tie moment, using a zip tie for its intended purpose of zipping and tying. Honestly, these air-fuel ratio gauges have become a huge benefit for tuning, especially for carburetor guys, because all of a sudden, you're not like reading spark plugs and stuff. You know what your air-fuel ratio is. So on a naturally aspirated muscle car type engine with a carburetor at wide open throttle, usually we're looking for about 12.4 to 1 to 12.8 to 1. For a blown deal like this, we'll often run them as rich as 11.8 to 1, just to help prevent detonation under boost, and that's pretty rich. If you're naturally aspirated, you're gonna be in the scary zone if you're wide open throttle at RPM. Anything that's a bigger number than 13, like 13.5 to 1, 14 to 1, that's when you're gonna start to hurt parts. But let's see if that gauge is actually working. There we go. I called it. 10.5 to 1 at idle. That's really rich. Anyway, it works. All I have to do is put the slicks on it and we're ready to go to the drag strip. Once again, here we are at historic Famoso drag strip. Steve?
Yes.
We're gonna go through the motions here, but really it's a foregone conclusion. Very anticlimactic what's about to happen.
Really?
Oh yeah, we're just gonna roll out there and run like, 1084 on the first pass and pack it up and go home.
Well, you're minimalizing this, but to me, it's the accumulation of my dreams for this car. Even though it's not mine, I feel like a certain sense of pride of ownership. Yeah. Is that possible?
No, I like it when you get attached to my garbage.
I know.
The Crusher Impala has never been better than it is at this particular moment. What do we got? 498 cubic inch big block Chevy.
Not just any 498 big block Chevy, but one that we built with our own hands.
Bare hands.
Yeah.
It has a quick performance 9-inch with 350 gears, and it made 530 horsepower to the tire.
Now you just go out there and get it done, bro.
How many times has this not happened?
Every time.
This is it. I hope this is a one and done. If the car hooks up, then I think it runs what we need it to run.
The burnout could have been a little hotter, I think. It's all going to come down to traction off the line and whether that transmission is shifting right. I think we have enough horsepower to get this done. I've got fingers crossed.
Steve will just keep talking if I don't stage, so I'm staging. Ooh, just tickling it.
Shift! Ah! What happened there?
I lifted because I thought it wasn't shifting, and then it shifted. It takes longer to shift than I anticipated. So that wasn't gonna do it. We'll have to go right back.
11:25, so a couple of tenths off. I don't know what happened on that 1-2 shift. I'm just gonna have to talk to David. I really can't identify what it was, but I heard a stutter.
I think the governor weights in this thing don't want to shift to like 7 grand. I think is the deal. All our vitals are looking good.
What did that sound like to you, Khalid?
I don't know, it just sounded like everything shut off.
It was like a stutter.
Yeah.
All right, no big surprise there. He's going straight back to the starting line. That tells me one thing. He already knows what he can do differently. Is there 3 tenths in Freiburger's mind right now? I think so.
No idea what it ran, don't care.
I'm confident. He's got something in mind here. I hope he knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of experience with these things. Let's see if it pulls a tire off the starting line. All right, that shifted a lot better. No stutter, he's shifting at a lower RPM. $10.96, yeah! That's our 10-second time slip. Read them and weep.
Well, it spun the tires pretty hard off the line that time, but it went through the gears. I short shifted first, second, because I thought it was just gonna keep going, but the transmission's working. It's weird, the car is geared so high with that 350 rear gear that it doesn't go third gear until almost in the lights. Uh-oh, Steve's got a good look on his face.
What'd you say?
I said you have a good look on your face.
Check it out, bro.
Done.
Yes.
1096 at 123.61, which is the fastest it's ever been.
I need to look inside the mind of Freiburger here.
Okay.
Okay, because it seemed like there was a stutter on the 1-2 shift, and I thought if Freiburger knows he's gonna drive right past me, straight up to the starting line, and make another pass with an adjustment.
Well, I short shifted 1-2 really badly. It shifted at like 6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, the gear in the car is so high, you don't shift into third until you're at like 1,200 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if
the
this
worst.
thing had a gear in it, it would be much quicker.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it felt like it was just driving over the tire off the line. It felt like the tire's too soft and it was balling up. It seemed like it wasn't shifting. And then I freaked out and lifted because it's got no rev limiter on it.
Right.
And then it shifted, so I just kept going. And the second time I thought, it's just gonna shift.
The second time it was,
So it went.
It was just,
Yeah.
it was a baby cruise, pretty much.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just thought
Yeah.
it was like,
It is.
Yeah.
The car just takes a beating and doesn't really care,
No.
except for when it brakes.
Yeah.
But finally, it's a 10-second car.
It is.
I always said that if it just did it, we were going to pack it up and go home. It's good enough.
No, you're going to go again.
We have to.
Yeah.
Here's what we're looking at on the track. You can see it in the marks here on the track. There's one there, one there, one there, one there. The tire's so soft that it sort of cups and wrinkles right on the ground.
You can see it all the way
Yeah.
out.
With more air in the tire, it won't wrinkle up like I was showing you on the starting line. With a big, heavy car like this, with a reasonable amount of power, it's not uncommon to have to put more tire pressure in the tire. So what you're gonna see is that the tire's not gonna hit the track as hard, it won't wrinkle as much, and it won't wad up on the track surface as much if we put a little bit more air pressure in it.
Okay, so we've already had the money round. We have our 10-second time slip. Now it's just all for ego gratification. That was a nice launch. I think he's winding it out a little higher too.
I think that was gonna be better.
And the number is?
1095.
1095. Okay, we shaved 100th.
It left smooth, didn't spin the tire, higher shift point. I think that was gonna be good. That time it didn't feel like it left as hard, as violently, it was smoother. So we'll find out if that's quicker.
Whoa, Nelly.
What?
Yeah, you picked up 100th.
100th?
Yeah, it slowed down though too. It ran 121.94, and it was at 10.95 with the 1.
So either it really doesn't like the higher shift point, or it got hot and slowed down. Either way, that's a big win, Steve.
Oh.
That's a goal we've had for this car since day one, and now it can go back to a gentle life of relentless burnouts.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. Crusher Impala for the win.
Do you remember when we dragged this thing home to my place and the whole engine was just swamped with water?
And we rebuilt it from scratch.
Yeah, we did.
How many episodes has it been between then and now?
You can never have too many episodes with the Crusher Impala.
That might be a fact, as
Yeah.
we're proving. Finally, after so much thrashing, we went, what was it, 1095, and that pass was 121 miles an hour. The pass before that was 1096 at 123. So the car actually boogies.
Yeah,
And
once we flagged that 10-second time slip,
it's done.
where do we go from here? I mean, we've achieved that. In 1969, they sent men onto the moon.
Yeah.
And then boom, 50 years later, you really don't have to, it's Mars now. It's faith, Freiburger. It's all up here, right there, in the mind of Freiburger. That is reality.
Faith, knowledge, violence, burnouts. You get it on every episode of
Roadkill Garage. Oh, look at the breathers dumping oil on your
It's another reason
header.
I don't want to do this again. I gotta change these valve covers.
Yeah.
Ah, it's the worst. That's all that is oil dumping on it.
They look so good, though.
I know, but they're garbage. Yeah. All right, we're done here.
Bro shake again?
Again.
Oh, wait.
What?
Need to-
Oh, yeah! Yeah! Boom!
Boom is right.
That was above average bro shake
was
for
really good.
10s in the Crusher Impala.
Pow.